Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the scientific process and again, draw out some of the concepts that are introduced in the first chapter of the textbook. Um, and I want to begin with this sort of, it's not really even an anecdote, it's more just a thing that I saw online and thought, hey, that's really interesting. And so I'm going to share it with folks. But it kind of gets at this question about why we really do need social science. And this idea that everything is obvious in hindsight, which is something that Paul Lazarsfeld was a big proponent of arguing that we think we understand the social world based on our own experiences, but in practice, we oftentimes really don't have a good idea of what are the general patterns. Um, and in fact, when we think we understand the world, we will oftentimes generate rationale that seem compelling to help us understand that. And so one of the ways that he illustrated this is he talked about a study of American soldiers in which they looked at 600,000 servicemen and tried to understand, what helps folks be successful in the military. And one of the things that they found, Paul Lazarsfeld reported, was that folks from rural environments do so much better. And everybody said, oh, aha, of course that's the case because, people from rural environments are used to shooting guns and they're used to living, rough and camping and doing stuff like that. And coming up with all these explanations for why it would be that somebody from a rural environment would do better in the military. And then Paul Lazarsfeld said, yeah, actually, sorry, I got that wrong. It was actually people from urban environments that did better in the military. And there's sort of a sense of, oh, well, why would that be? And then we come up with this list of justifications for why folks who are used to working in a crowded environment and used to sort of being forced through bureaucracies all the time, why those kind of folks would do better in the military. And the point isn't like, oh, I've tricked you. It's we can come up with a lot of explanations for what's happening in the world. And the reason why we go to data and the reason why we do empirical analysis is to try to sort out which explanations actually hold water and actually work. And so I think this was a useful, at least for me, a useful anecdote or story to kind of crystallize why social science plays such an important role in how society operates today. The textbook introduced this graphic, and I put it in my PowerPoint slides and kind of thought about how I would talk about it. One of the ways I would talk about it is I would say, oh, this is deductive. This is only one way to think about social science. But then I realized that this is actually basically the chapter outline of what we're going to be covering in this course, right? So right now we're on sort of the ideas and questions phase. And one of the presentations I'll do is ontology and epistemology and methodology and big philosophical stuff. And we'll talk about theory. And then we'll talk about theory development, going in, thinking about hypotheses and what that looks like. And then we'll move into research design where we ask questions about how do we measure things, right? How are we going to sample things? How do we know that we get good, reliable data? We'll talk about issues with conducting research, whether it's conducting interviews or field work or building data sets. We'll talk about tools for analyzing that data, whether it's statistical tools or more qualitative analysis. And then we'll talk about sort of how you take the analysis that you have and present that and use that in an effective way. And so we'll talk about some data visualization stuff as well. So this slide kind of pivoted a little bit from what I initially thought, but it's a useful sort of general overview of the course that I thought I'd leave in after I realized what the heck it was. This slide, however, I did want to keep, right? This is the one where I say, well, that story of we develop theory and then we go through these processes of conceptualizing things and research design, data collection, analysis, conclusions. That's deductive research. Deductive research is I start in my armchair, possibly with a glass of scotch, and I'm thinking about the world. And I'm developing some ideas about how it operates and what might explain different phenomenon. And once I'm satisfied that I think I understand the world, that I've developed some ideas about it, then I get up off my armchair and I go out into the world and I get some data. And I look at it and figure out, was I right? Or, oh man, I guess I don't understand the world. Either way, I've learned something about my armchair theorizing. Whereas inductive research, you begin out in the world. You're wandering around and you're bumping into data and you're encountering that data and you're scooping it up and you're bringing it back and you sit in your armchair and you go through that data and sort of think about it. And does this data align with what we think we know about the world? Does it fit with existing theories? Or is there something in this data that's new that requires us to sort of rethink our stories that we tell about the world and how it operates? So deductive, armchair, and then you go out in the world. Inductive, you're out in the world getting data, then you come back to your armchair and hang out there. So two different ways of thinking about it. Some people would say two sides of the same coin, but there's another visual metaphor for thinking about inductive, deductive. It's a circle. And so if you're starting here on the theory development, which is like about 2 o'clock on the circle, that's your starting point for deductive analysis, right? You have theory development, then you go to research design, you conduct your research, do your analysis, and then you have your conclusions and reflections, right? Whereas if you're starting with sort of maybe at the bottom with maybe 6 or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock data analysis, that tends to be where the inductive process starts. I've scooped up a bunch of data and I'm going to go reflect on this data. It's going to raise new questions, and out of that's going to come theory development. And so some people would say, like, this isn't just like one or the other. These things sort of interrelate. And in fact, when we look at how people actually do research, I might be starting out deductively. I've done my whole process of developing hypotheses, research design, conducting my research, got my data analysis, conclusions and reflections, and it didn't pan out at all how I thought. And I'm gonna sort of sit back and say, whoa, wait a second, why is that? And already I'm like in an inductive process, right? Because I've got data that just doesn't make any sense to me. It's kind of weird. And I'm going to need to go and sit down and think about that a little bit more and figure out what the heck is happening. And it's not like I was doing before, where I was just sort of thinking abstractly. Now I'm thinking about a very specific set of data that I don't understand very well. That's inductive. And so what happens is that our deductive theorizing turns into an inductive process as we try to drill through our analyses and understand what's happening and what we don't understand. The last thing I would say about all of this is that social science is really important. I really can't emphasize how important it is. And in fact, one of the reasons why I keep teaching this class is not because students love it and I get the sort of positive feedback. It's because I think it's probably the most important thing I can impart to people. And the reason is that social science thinking has permeated throughout our society. And so a huge number of things that people might want to do are going to involve social science research. You might not necessarily recognize it as social science research because it might not look like academic research that gets assigned in classes. It might not even look like policy-oriented research that gets cranked up by think tanks. But grant writing is essentially a research methods process or a research methods task, right? I'm asked to define things in terms of how I'm going to measure them. I'm asked to develop a plan for how I'm going to measure it. I'm asked to identify things that I can track over time and that I can report back. All of that is research methods stuff. If we're doing a policy evaluation or a program evaluation, that's essentially working with a wide variety of tools. Again, how do we measure things? How do we collect data in a systematic way? How do we analyze that data? How do we communicate that data? It's all social science techniques. And then managing people, right? A lot of managing people is just tracking different indicators and collecting the data. A lot of what we're going to be talking about when we talk about interviewing is applicable to management and of human beings, right? Where you have to interact with them and get information from them. So I think it's worth recognizing that these things have permeated through, but also if you want to then interface with the world, a world that has adopted and bought into social science methods, you need to understand those methods yourself so that you can use them, so that you can put your arguments forward in a way that people understand because they've been socialized into social science methods by taking classes like this, and that they'll find compelling because they're looking for certain kinds of data organized in certain kinds of ways, collected and analyzed and presented in certain kinds of ways. And part of what this class does is it helps give you the skills so that you can then interface with those different audiences that are expecting to see social science, even if they're not calling it social science. So again, social science is everywhere. I hope that once I've sort of put that on your radar, you'll start recognizing it all around you. But in the meantime, we'll march through different skills, and hopefully that will become apparent as we work.